Have you ever noticed how some words make a whole room change? One sentence, one look, and everybody's opinion shifts. Today I want to talk about a word that too many people don't understand, the weight of respect, and how respect shapes the way we see people who are different from us, especially our Muslim brothers and sisters. Now, listen to me. I grew up learning one thing from my mama: treat folks right. Don't judge what you don't understand. And when a person walks through your door with dignity, meet them with dignity. That's not just religion talk, that's human talk. You see, the world's loud, and a lot of times the loudest voices are the ones who confuse fear with truth. They mistake strangers for threats. They mistake difference for danger. And somewhere along the way, we forget that faith is a private thing until it's used to drive a wedge between people. I want to say something plain and clear right now. There is no room in my heart for hate based on religion. No room for shortcuts to judgment. You cannot look at a person and reduce them to headlines or camera clips. You have to look at a person and see a life, a story, a family, a heartbeat. I remember a trip I took years ago, walking into a place I didn't expect to feel at home. I walked into a mosque and I felt the kind of hush that makes you aware of your own breath. People bowed in prayer with a humility that almost made me cry, not because I agreed or disagreed with their theology, but because I saw something I recognized: devotion. And that devotion, it's the same devotion I see in my church. It's the same devotion I see in people who kneel in hospital rooms and pray for their children. So when folks try to boil an entire people down to a single bad story, I can't stand for it. I won't stand for it. Why? Because I've seen the goodness. I've seen people feed strangers at dawn. I've seen communities come together when tragedy hit. I've seen the exact same humanity wearing different clothes and speaking different words, but feeling the same hunger for love, for dignity, for peace. Now let me be real with you for a second. This ain't a sermon to make you feel good. This is a wake-up call. Because if you want to build something in your life, if you want to be the kind of person who makes a place better, you've got to get rid of the poison of easy blame. Here's the dangerous thing about blame. It's cheap. It's easy to point fingers and act like that makes you wise. But wisdom says slow down. Wisdom says look deeper. You say, Steve, how do I slow down in a world that moves so fast? You start with one small thing. You stop believing every story that makes you afraid of someone else. You want to know what real strength looks like. Real strength is when you can be patriotic and open-hearted at the same time. Real strength is when you can disagree on doctrine but still break bread together. Real strength is when you look your neighbor in the eye and choose respect. Now let's talk about leadership, because leadership has everything to do with how people are seen. Leaders set the tone. If leaders in the media and in government keep throwing fuel on the fire, folks will play with matches until the house burns. But if leaders show calm, show clarity, show respect, guess what happens? People begin to follow suit, because humans learn behavior by watching those in charge. So if you want to be a leader in your home, in your workplace, in your community, lead with curiosity, not fear. Ask questions. Seek context. Don't be so quick to repost that clip, to type that angry sentence, to assume the worst, because you never know whose heart that the clip cuts into. You never know the child who's watching and thinking, they hate me. You never know the parent praying in silence. Let me tell you something about faith. Faith is not a weapon. Faith is a refuge. Faith is a compass. And when you disrespect someone's faith, you're not just disrespecting a ritual, you're disrespecting a whole universe of meaning in their life. I want you to imagine for a moment, imagine if instead of pointing the finger, we extended the hand. Imagine if we replaced suspicion with a simple question, tell me about your faith. You'd be amazed how fast the room will change. The person you thought you knew will become someone you can understand. There's power in stories. The media sells drama because drama sells. But people's lives are not headlines. People's lives are pages, chapters, whole books. And you don't get the book from a single paragraph. I want to be clear when I talk about Muslims. I'm not giving a theology lesson. I'm talking about people, mothers, fathers, kids who want the same things you want. They want safety. They want education. They want to be loved. They are your customers, your neighbors, your co-workers. They are human beings with hopes and flaws, just like the rest of us. And here's the part that matters most. We're all in this together. You can't prosper for long while you wish failure on somebody else, prosperity that comes at the expense of somebody's dignity. That ain't prosperity at all. That's poverty wearing a different name. So what do we do? What's the action step? What do you right now in your seat need to do? First, choose humility over arrogance. Humility opens the door. Arrogance kills conversation. Second, listen more than you speak. If you listen, you'll learn. If you learn, you'll grow. Third, correct when you must, but do it with grace. Don't shout to be heard. Speak to be understood. And fourth, when you see someone being maligned, stand up, not because you must make a point, but because you must make a difference. If you can speak for the oppressed, do it. If you can hold the line for respect, hold it. Now, let me tell you a story, short, but it matters. I met a young man once. He was new to this country, carrying 2 suitcases and a prayer mat. He worked nights, sometimes 3 jobs, doing what he had to do to keep food on the table. He had a smile so small, you had to look twice to see it. One day I asked him, son, what keeps you going? He looked at me and he said, hope. Hope, not hate, not bitterness, not anger. Hope. That right there is a reminder for all of us. Hope beats hate every time. And if hope is what moves people who have everything stacked against them, imagine what it can do for those of us who have so much more. So I leave you with this. If you want a better world, start in the small rooms you own. Teach your children curiosity. Teach them to ask, not to assume. Show them that faith is a bridge, not a barrier. If you want to make money, make sure you're making it with honor. If you want to build a brand, build it with integrity. Be the example. That's how change really happens. Not in speeches or trending hashtags, but in quiet, consistent choices that show up every single day. And when someone asks you, what did Steve Harvey say about Muslims? Let them know this. He said what every decent person should say: treat folks like folks, judge less, love more. Stand up for respect. There's enough room in this world for all of us to worship, work, and win. So act like it, live like it, teach it. That's the message. That's the challenge. And if we can do that, if we can put respect back in our pockets and pull it out when we meet someone new, then we won't lose our way. We'll find our better selves. Now go. Be better than yesterday. Speak truth with kindness. Live bold, live brave, and above all, live with respect